So during the week, I met up with a professional friend of mine, someone who was doing really well, a man. It's all going okay. And that is when there was a bombshell where he revealed that for the past 25 years, he's had this crush on me. So he has had this crush on me and has kept meeting up for drinks, which I thought were quite innocent. And it's actually been because he obviously, not to put it too crudely, wants to get into my pants. Well, I just was in shock. What are you supposed to feel in these situations? I handled it diplomatically. Should I have done that, or should I have just said, fuck you, really? I'm just sick of these married men who now tell me for the past couple of decades they've basically been lusting after me. I mean, like, I'm not really a very lustable person for a start, but I am confident, and I think this is what they've come to the conclusion, that actually I'm really interesting and much better company than the people they've spent these 25 years with. And they kind of expect me to give in to their advances, and I should be flattered and this and that. It started to cause all sorts of realizations in me and then thoughts. For example, one of the thoughts I have got in my mind is the race thing. Is this to do with they expecting me to feel flattered? Because they are the sort of generation where it was quite unusual, and to have this Asian girlfriend or whatever. He was obviously under the impression that I was, for some reason, interested in him, even though I'd been diplomatic at best, tried not to, show that I'd been persuaded by this or flattered, or I felt the same way with his infatuation about me. So effectively, he'd shared his liking for me, shall we say, over these decades, tried to get me drunk by buying a bottle of wine, which he didn't drink, and assumed that I was going to drink. He just bought some beers, and then revealed to me that he'd liked me all this time. He's probably having problems with his wife or whatever, and then there's several guys have behaved in this similar way. They think you're single, therefore you must be gagging for it or really interested in them. Sorry, but if you're middle-aged and single, usually means that you want to be middle-aged and single. I think I hold this curiosity because I've never been married, so I don't know, that sort of, like, that appeals to them, this exoticness. I don't know, but anyway, so it didn't go according to, well, in his head, obviously it went according to plan because he thought that I'd been convinced by this. He sent me a text, and the next day he sent me an email saying what a great time he'd had and when he was next going to be around, which I felt was, really weird. So I'm just discussing at the moment with myself, should I just completely ignore him, or should I send him something that says, like, actually, I find you really dull and boring, and why do you think, I'd be interested in you? So, and even professionally, it's like really boring. Is a really, most of these people are not exactly fantastic conversational company. But anyway, what would you do? Help me out. That's my kind of middle-aged perspective on being chatted up. I don't know, flirted with, or it's a bit weird, really. This sort of long-standing thoughts about me make me feel quite, defiled, really. Maybe that's a bit over the top, but anyway, I don't want it. So I'm just going to move on. Thanks for listening. Talking about someone middle-aged. So he has had this crush on me, and these meetings, were they because he was sort of hoping that we might end up together? I don't know, he's married. I'm just sick of these married men who now tell me that decades ago, and for the past couple of decades, they've basically been lusting after me. At the time, 25 years ago, I thought they were great guys, they were my friends and so on. I thought that they saw me as an equal, but now I'm really doubting that they saw me as an equal, now that they have revealed to me that really what they want from me is having a kind of liaison of some sort. I don't know whether this applies to all of my male friends from decades ago. It's really made me doubt, and it's a shame because I've got lots of male friends, female friends. Is this why people end up without friends of the opposite gender, which I'm always very keen on promoting that, because I think that's the way that you have real equality and respect for people. But anyway, this guy, what an arrogant twat, really. I mean, he's then lunged at me. He then lunged at me when we were parting company, tried to kiss me, and felt his like slobbering mouth on my face as I tried to dart out of the way. It was horrible. And I thought that I'd given off these disgusted vibes, but I'm clearly not, because when I got home, he'd sent me a text saying, oh, what a great time he'd had, blah, blah. He was obviously under the impression that I was, for some reason, interested in him, even though I'd been diplomatic at best, tried not to, show that I'd been persuaded by this or flattered, or I felt the same way with his infatuation about me.